to Ehizoje, everyone's favorite Nigerian.
This that real life shit, nigga.
Let's talk about this Apple Music's top 100 album list.
Oh, pull the list.
So last week, Apple Music put out their top 100 albums of the modern era based off the albums that they chose. I think they did from the 60s till now, nothing before then. The way they compiled the list, they had an array of voters, both artists and journalists. Voters included, but not limited to, when it comes to artists, Maggie Rogers, Billie Eilish, and Pharrell Williams. And then obviously, who knows how many journalists they had put in votes. It seems like there's something that they've been doing for the past couple months, pretty much to compile as objective analyst as possible, regardless of genre, what was the top 100 albums. So, do you guys think they did a good job? Why or why not?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I don't want to say it wasn't fair.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool.
But because where did they place Michael? He's not even on it, right?
Michael's 2.
He's on there, yeah, he's 2.
Oh,
He's
okay.
2. Yeah. Shout out to Thriller. I thought Thriller was gonna be number 1. Here I'll start off. I think they did a pretty good job. Like, it's so hard.
It's number 1 and number 2. So that
Facts. And number 1 was a hip hop album.
Yeah.
So
number 3.
Number 3 was the Beatles, Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Abbey Road. But
I never heard it.
good album. You should listen.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
So I'm not mad at the album. I think they did as good of a job as you can do when compiling like a top 100 list and trying to keep it inclusive of all genres, because there's so much music out, especially now in 2024. Like, people drop there's thousands of albums that drop every year, and they even included some recent albums which I think deserve it, like SOS, and I forgot what other recent album they had on here, but there's 2 like really recent within the last 5 years. Oh, Astroworld, I think, which isn't Travis Scott's best album, but
It's on there, right?
Astroworld? Yeah. So I think they did as good as they could do. There were some missteps in regards to who gets like multiple albums on the list. I feel like they should have just kept it as, no, every artist can only get 1 album.
Yeah.
Because when you start making exceptions, people are going to be like, how the fuck does, no offense to the Beyonce fans, right? But how does Beyonce get 2 albums and Michael Jackson doesn't? No offense to the Radiohead fans. How does Radiohead get 2 albums and Kendrick doesn't? If you want to use Kendrick as the, as the split. But
Yeah, Kendrick was on there.
you said what?
And Kendrick was,
He was 7.
He was pretty high.
yeah, he was
7.
higher than Drake.
Yeah. Oh, way higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Drake was 37. Kendrick was 7.
Yeah.
So I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I thought it was fair.
Yeah.
It was all right. There was a lot of stuff on there I'd never heard of. Like, most of it I hadn't heard. But when I saw things that I did recognize, even a little, I was like, oh, okay. But I'm not really good with albums. And
What do you think about Loren having the number 1 spot?
position on our music podcast?
I was shocked that Lauren got number 1, but I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah.
I could see how, like,
That's a really good album.
I could see how if you have like a bunch of different people vote on the number 1 album, how she would be like one of the people that would have one of the highest scores, regardless of what you're used to.
Yeah.
Because it's such an easy listen. 1, 2.
Recognizable.
Yeah, it's recognizable. It did crazy numbers.
She's still torn off of that.
Won hella awards. And
She don't be showing up to her own tour, though.
the writing on
she
it.
do. She just gets there like when she got 30 minutes left, but she goes.
She do. My girl, she be there. I seen her. I told her.
And the writing on it is impeccable. I think she's one of the best writers we've seen from an artist perspective in hip hop. So would I have put it at number 1? Nah,
I'm glad they did, though.
If
I feel like it was almost like here you go. But it really is really good. So it's also like, you can't really play like that.
Yeah, and they did it off of voting. So even Ebro was like, yeah, I didn't know. I thought it was gonna be Thriller. Zane Lowe was like, yeah, I thought it was gonna be obviously Thriller.
And don't underestimate Black woman with a broken heart.
Do you think it should have been number 1?
I think it's fair for where it was at. I was talking about this with someone else too. Like, it's an influential album. It's a household album. You know what I mean? Like, growing up, everybody knew it. They got ooh, like it just makes sense.
Go listen to it.
I think
and Thriller.
But no,
Thriller probably should have been number one. If you want, I don't know. It's so hard because Purple Rain too is like. I don't think I consider Thriller better than Purple Rain. If I had to choose like one album, I would do Purple Rain over Thriller. So I don't know. It's whatever. I think whatever would have been number one, people would have been. I think Thriller was actually the only album people would have been okay with if it was number one. I think regardless of
Michael was incredible.
Would have been satisfied with that.
Yeah.
And it really was really good. So.
I think everyone else, no matter what genre, you could have had Beatles on there, people would have been in an uproar. So like I'm cool with it. Shout out to Loren. She my female GOAT. Remember we had this conversation?
What?
About female GOAT rappers?
Yeah.
Y'all got mad at me because I said Loren and Missy.
I just
who
felt like
both
y'all
have
trying to
albums
play.
on the top
Missy.
100.
Love Missy.
Oh yeah, Nicki's not on there.
Oh, I wasn't even gonna say that, but she happens to not have an album on there.
I'm not like a barb. I just like feel like whatever. Let's not get into it because we've already did that.
Y'all were arguing last time.
I'm not gonna argue nothing, but you got something to say. You got it.
I don't have anything to say about that.
What album do you guys think was too high?
High being close to 1.
Yes, 1 being the highest number.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift at 18, I
was gonna say,
believe.
wasn't she like 18?
She was 18. So let me read out the criteria before we start going into these other questions. So Ebro tweeted out, voters of the 100 best on Apple Music were challenged to not vote for our favorites, but to vote for albums that represented a cultural moment for the artist or genre, albums that were complete thoughts, not just collections of hit songs, albums that thoroughly represent culture in production and lyrics, albums that inspire the generation to want to create more music, albums that represent the best in storytelling, musicianship, recording, and production, albums that are timeless and reached far beyond the genre categorization. So, with that being said, you said Taylor Swift 1989, a little too high?
No, I only said that to see what Loren.
Oh, what Loren would say?
1,000%. I agree. Why is Rage Against the Machine so low?
Okay, another comment about
I'm
this.
looking at why is Seat at the Table so low?
I think.
Well, I get it. No, I get it. It's too
high,
new.
but I thought somewhere low. Like I was like, oh wow. Like
Yeah, Lady Gaga's The Fame Monster 89. I feel like that's kind of low. She
like-
was
Auntie was too low too.
ooh good album.
55.
Even what?
And
Why is
Usher,
Doggy Style
Confessions
84?
Confessions by Usher was 95 too low. Like that was
Confessions was really low.
That was just. I mean, it's on there, so like okay, but like no, I don't think so.
75?
Super duper fly. There's one thing about the list though. Like there's
Underneath SZA's SOS?
I think SOS is a better written
I really
project
like Adele. She was 15
and produced.
and
I'm
I
not
thought
mad at
that was
that.
well
I
deserved.
think SOS was too low. But there's one thing
So
I
did
will
she.
say. You said what?
I said, so did she.
Oh, did she tweet something?
Yeah, I think she was kind of mean about it.
But that's one thing about the list. There's about 50 albums on this list where you could make arguments for them being in the top 10. So that's another thing. I wish they didn't rank it. I wish they
Lemonade was
just said,
just
hey,
put
here's
on.
the top 100, no rank.
Yeah.
Here's what we chose.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. When I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, we're going to get to a number one. When I saw the style of it, I was like, oh, here we go.
But to answer the question, an album I thought was too high was Eminem, Marshall Mathers, LP at 80. I don't think it should even been on the list. It was like one of the worst aging albums in hip hop. I know he has like a crazy fan base, but that
Does
album
he still?
didn't. Oh yeah. He definitely still has like a crazy big fan base. But I think he's about to release his last album, so we're gonna see that. But
Oh, she was 15.
Yeah, I thought I liked that
Yeah.
album. So I was like, I really like Adele. So I couldn't be upset about that.
Sorry, continue.
all right, next question. What album do you guys think was too low? I know you guys
Oh, yeah,
already
we
started naming.
Yeah.
My bad.
Had to
We're
It's
getting
alright.
ahead of you. I feel like
All right, to answer the question, I think
sorry, I'm
Illmatic.
looking
I have
through it.
some.
All right, there's too many quiet moments going on in this episode. So to
bad,
fill in the
my
blank,
bad, my
I'll
bad.
answer first this time. The album that I think is too low Nas's Illmatic. He wrote this at 17, started writing it before 17. I think easily should have been above other artists who were pretty young when their debut dropped. I think, not to call her out, but Billie Eilish was extremely high. I think she was in the 30s, and her album dropped at 7 when she was 17. But if you compare the songwriting between Nas and Billie Eilish, like Billie Eilish is extremely talented, but you can't tell me that songwriting and the impact, especially because Ebro like put it in his tweet, like, oh, the impact that it has on the genre and the artist itself. Illmatic impacted many, many future artists. Like, he started the golden era of hip hop in the 90s. I think Illmatic 100% should have been at least top 20 because people still reference Illmatic as one of the greatest rap albums of all time. So I think that was extremely too low.
I think Confessions was too low. I think Auntie was too low. I think Take Care was too low. I think Beyonce was too low. I think Marvin Gaye.
Which Beyonce? Because she has a top 10.
Beyonce.
Okay.
I think What's Going On, Marvin Gaye was too low, even though it was 17. I just feel like my dad just really liked that. So I just, Adele was pretty well placed. And then Lemonade was a little surprising to me, but also like, I was like, okay. Because Lemonade isn't my favorite, but I was like, eh. But I'm also biased if you notice all those people are black. But I really don't know a lot of the other ones.
I think Doggy Style was too low.
Oh, yeah, Doggy Style was low. 50 Cent, oh, yeah, he was on
No,
there.
I feel like that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
You're right. Fucking this Missy album, Super Duper Fly, that's too low.
Oh, definitely. That is a good
Under Drake, like I would have put Drake lower than her.
Yeah, Missy
Low key.
Elliott was...
Baduism is low. Fucking the Love Deluxe album, Tupac. I feel like I think you're right. If they would have just released this list, no particular order, these are just our top 100 ever released.
Yeah,
that would have made more sense.
Because I know there's people that are into rock that are all like, why isn't Led Zeppelin top 20, top 15?
Like Nine Inch Nails isn't on there.
Like I said, I'm biased because, yeah.
But yeah, what album should have been included that wasn't? Just one. I just need one.
Channel Orange.
Channel Orange.
I don't know. That was just the one we're about to talk about today.
Scarlet.
Yes, I love it.
I think To Pimp a Butterfly 100% should have been included for every reason that they mentioned. Yeah.
Do you think it should have been included over Good Kid, Mad City?
I'm not mad at them including Good Kid, Mad City because that is a more like well-rounded. You're not gonna find one person say
but I know,
bad
like,
thing about Good Kid, Mad City.
White people love To Pimp a Butterfly.
Like that was the album for him that really, I feel like, pushed him into
Pop culture.
Yeah. Like the masses.
Then that makes me say it's good that they didn't include it. if that's the point that's gonna be made. Yeah, I mean, especially because there was such a division in hip hop over whether or not this was a good album.
Yeah.
So if it was to be included, I don't think it should have been as high as Good Kid, Mad City, just because Good Kid, Mad City really is like, it is a movie.
Yeah, that's artwork. That's such a body of art.
Like I think in like 15, 20 years, I would not be surprised if they made it into
like a theater type shit.
Actual movie.
I always say that. Like I could see it play out in my head, like Curtain Call, all that kind of stuff.